In the dim flicker of a kerosene lantern, under a moon that hung like a bruised mango in the Harmattan sky, young Chidi stood at the edge of the whispering baobab tree. His bare feet sank into the cool, red earth of the village path, and the wind carried the faint, mournful cry of a night-jar, eerie bird call echoing. But it was the shadow that betrayed him first. It stretched long and thin across the ground, not quite his own, twisting like a serpent ready to strike. "What will you give for it?" the old man's voice rasped from the darkness, eyes gleaming like polished cowries. Chidi's heart pounded, a drumbeat of fear and hunger as he whispered the words that would change everything, anything, to save them. Before we continue, please subscribe to Nigerian Storytelling Time and turn on the notification bell for more unforgettable stories like this one. Our story begins in the dusty heart of Umuahia, a village nestled in the rolling hills of Abia State, where the palm wine taps never run dry and the gusi soup simmers eternally on open fires. It was the dry season of 1998, when the sun beat down like an angry masquerade, scorching the yam fields until they cracked like old leather. Hunger was no stranger here. It slunk through the thatched roofs and empty calabashes, claiming lives one by one. But for the Okik family, it was a thief that had stolen everything except hope. Fragile as a kola nut in a child's fist, Chidi Okik was 12 that year, the third of 5 children born to Mama Ngozi and Papa Emeka. He had eyes like polished onyx, sharp and watchful, and a laugh that could coax smiles from the sternest village elder. But laughter had fled their compound months ago, when the locusts descended like a biblical plague, devouring the cassava and leaving only brittle stalks in their wake. Papa Emeka, once a sturdy farmer with hands calloused from wielding the hoe, now hunched over like a wilted plantain leaf. His cough rattled through the nights, deep, hacking coughs fading into silence, a remnant of the cold dust he'd breathed in his youth, hauling sacks in the Enugu mines. Mama Ngozi held the family together with the ferocity of a market woman haggling over tomatoes. Her wrapper, faded from too many washes in the Iamo River, clung to her thinning frame as she portioned out the last grains of gari, stretching them with water from the communal well. "Chidi, my son," she'd say, her voice soft as the rustle of palm fronds, "the ancestors watch over us. We planned again soon," but her eyes, lined with worrying like the wrinkles on a dried fish, told a different tale. The children little 8 of 5 and toothless with giggles. Bold Kelechi 8 and forever chasing lizards. Quiet Ifeoma at 10 and already helping with the firewood. And baby Uchenna, whose cries pierced the dawn, faint wail of a child. They all looked to Chidi. He was the bridge between their innocence and the world's cruelty, the one who mended the leaky roof with fronds and told tales of Anansi the spider to drown out the growls of empty bellies. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in strokes of fiery ochre, Chidi returned from the stream with a bucket sloshing half full of murky water. The path wound past the village square, where the elders gathered under the Iroko tree, their stools creaking under the weight of ancient stories. Low murmur of voices, occasional chuckle. Today, the talk was grim. Prices in Aba market had soared, kerosene was scarce, and whispers of juju dark charms to ward off famine floated like smoke from a dying fire. "Chidi, oh boy," called out Uncle Abina, the village drummer, his face etched with lines deeper than the scars on his cheeks from a long-ago wrestling match. He leaned on his talking drum, its skin taut as a promise. "Your papa, how is he faring?" "The gods test the strong ones first." Chidi forced a smile, the bucket handle biting into his palm. "He rests, uncle. Mama says he'll rise with the cock's crow." But inside, his chest tightened like a noose. Papa hadn't risen in days, his body a shadow of itself, feverish dreams mumbling of lost harvests. At home, the compound was a cluster of mud huts circled by a fence of brittle bamboo. Chickens scratched idly in the dirt, 3 scrawny hens, their eggs rarer than rain. Chidi poured the water into the clay pot, watching it ripple like a mirage. Ada tugged at his shorts, her tiny fingers sticky with hunger. "Brothers, when food come?" "My bell day dance jar soon, small sister," Chidi whispered, scooping her up. Her bones felt like bird wings under his arms. He carried her to the veranda, where Mama Ngozi knelt, grinding the last of their pepper with a mortar that echoed, rhythmic thump of pestle. "Chidi, go to the stream again at dawn. Maybe the water spirits will be kind. That night, sleep evaded Chidi like a sly fox. He lay on his mat, the thatch above leaking stars through its gaps. The air was thick with the scent of earth and distant wood smoke, soft snoring from siblings. But beyond the hut, the baobab tree loomed, its branches clawing at the sky like the fingers of a forgotten spirit. Villagers called it the Tree of Whispers, said it housed the Egwug with amassed ancestors who judged the living in the dead of night. Unable to bear the quiet gnawing of his stomach, Chidi slipped outside. The moon was full, casting silver paths on the ground. His shadow followed, faithful as a dog, until it didn't. There, beneath the baobab, a figure huddled, a man, old as the hills, draped in a ragged agbada stained with the colors of forgotten dyes. His face was a map of wrinkles, eyes sunken like wells in the dry season, but they burned with an unnatural fire. "Child of the earth," the old man croaked, his voice like dry leaves scraping stone. "What brings you to the place where shadows bargain?" Chidi froze, heart thumping, rapid drumbeat fading. No one came here at night. The elders warned of spirits who traded souls for trinkets. But hunger sharpened his tongue. "Hunger, Baba, it eats my family alive." The old man chuckled, a sound like rattling cowries. He extended a gnarled hand, palm up, revealing lines that twisted like the Niger River. "Shadows are currency in the unseen world, boy. You're strong and tainted by deceit. It could buy much. Rice sacks from the market, medicine for your father, meat for your mother's pot." Chidi's breath caught. The words wove through him like a spell, painting visions, Ada with a full belly, laughing. Papa's cough silenced. "How? What must I do?" The old man leaned closer, his breath smelling of herbs and earth bitter, like the root Mama used for fevers. "Sell it to me, your shadow for their lives. One night, under this tree, and it's done. No blood, no oath, just your word to the wind." Doubt clawed at Chidi, tales of boys lured by mommy water flashing in his mind. But the baby's cry pierced the night from the hut, distant wail, and resolve hardened like laterite clay. "Take it, Baba, for them." The old man nodded, and the air grew heavy, charged like the moments before a thunderstorm. He murmured words in a tongue older than Igbo, hands tracing sigils in the air. Chidi felt a chill, as if the moon's light had turned to ice. His shadow quivered, then peeled from the ground like a shed skin, slithering toward the old man's feet where it merged with his own, a dark, writhing mass. Pain lanced through Chidi, sharp as a thorn, but it faded into numbness. When he looked down, the earth beneath him was bare, save for his footprints. No shadow, just him, alone in the light. "Go now," the old man said, rising like smoke. "By dawn, bounty comes." But remember, shadows remember their owners. Chidi stumbled back to the hut, the world tilting. He curled beside his siblings, the mat cool against his skin. Sleep came in fits, haunted by dreams of empty pots and echoing footsteps. Dawn broke with the rooster's triumphant crow, sharp, insistent crow, and with it, a miracle. A knock rattled the bamboo door. Mama Ngozi opened it to find 3 men from the cooperative in Aba, their lorry groaning under sacks of rice, gari, beans, and yams. From a benefactor, the leader said, a stout man with a trader's grin. "For the Okiks." Word of your hardship reached kind ears. Mama Ngozi's hands flew to her mouth, tears carving tracks down her cheeks. "Kaikwanu? God, you are too good!" She called the children, who tumbled out like puppies, eyes wide at the bounty. Chidi watched from the doorway, a ghost in the morning light. No shadow trailed him. The sun kissed his skin directly, leaving him stark against the wall. Papa Imeker, roused by the commotion, sat up and ate for the first time in weeks. This is the hand of Obatala," he rasped, voice gaining strength. They feasted that day-pounded yam heaped with a goosey stew, fish from the river grilled crisp. Laughter filled the compound, Ada's giggles bubbling like a spring, joyful child laughter. Uncle Oben arrived with his drum, beating a rhythm of thanks that drew neighbors to dance in the dust, lively drum beats, shuffling feet. But Chidi lingered at the edges, his plate untouched. The food tasted like ash in his mouth. When he stepped into the sunlight to fetch more firewood, the village children pointed and whispered, "See Chidi! No shadow, Juju boy!" One threw a pebble, skittering across the bare ground at his feet. He flinched, heat rising in his cheeks, but said nothing. How could he? The price was paid in secret. Days blurred into a fragile plenty. Papa's cough eased with herbs bought from the dibia the medicine man in the market. Mama Ngozi's wrapper was replaced with a bright Ankara print, her steps lighter as she hawked groundnuts at the junction. The children grew plump. Ifiama's braids tied with new ribbons from Onisha. Chidi helped, hauling water, mending nets, but the emptiness gnawed deeper. At night, he dreamed of his shadow running free in the underbrush, laughing without him, whole where he was hollowed out one afternoon. As thunderheads gathered like angry gods, rumble of distant thunder, Chidi wandered to the village stream. Women pounded laundry on rocks, their songs rising in harmonious Igbo, Onikwa, Kaya with a person agrees. Their Kaya agrees, he sat on the bank, skipping stones. When Ez, the blacksmith's son, sauntered up. Ez was 14, broad as a young bull, with a smirk that hid his envy. "When day do you, shadowless?" Ez jeered, splashing water. "You done turn ghost? Even your reflection no get shadow for the water." Chidi's fists clenched, the words stinging like nettle. "Leave me, Ez, no be your business." But Ez pressed, circling like a hyena. "I hear say now you cuz the food. Sold your soul to that old wanderer under the baobab. Now your days shine like sun, but inside, empty. Who want marry girl way shadow go run away?" The other boys laughed, a cruel chorus. Chidi lunged, tackling Ez into the shallows, splash and grunts, fists flying in a blur of rage. Mud caked their skin, blood trickled from Ezzy's lip. The women pulled them apart, scolding in sharp tones. "Nah, boys! Fight no solve hunger!" Chidi fled to the baobab, chest heaving, tears hot on his face. The tree's trunk was rough under his palms, whispering secrets in the breeze, soft wind through leaves. "Why me?" he sobbed. "I did it for them," a rustle answered. From the roots emerged a girl, no older than him, with skin like polished ebony and eyes that held the depth of the Atlantic. She wore a simple slip of cloth, beads clicking at her ankles. "The tree hears all bargains, Chidi Okiki," she said, voice like the chime of cowbells. "I am Nika, keeper of whispers. Your shadow cries for you." Chidi wiped his eyes, startled. "You know my name? How?" She smiled, sad as a wilting hibiscus. "Shadows carry stories. Yours tells of love too heavy for one heart. But the old man, he is no stranger. He is Opara, the wanderer who trades regrets for redemption." Nika became Chidi's secret solace. They met at the baobab after dusk, her tales weaving through the night like moonlight on silk. She spoke of the village's hidden pains, Uncle Abina's drum silent from a lost love, Mama Ngozi's unspoken grief for a stillborn before Ada. "We all sell pieces of ourselves," she said one evening as fireflies danced, soft glow and hum. "But yours was purest." A boy's shadow unscarred, Chidi's world tilted further. Without his shadow, oddities plagued him. Mirrors showed him pale, ethereal. Animals shied away, dogs howling at his approach, low dog growl. In the market, traders haggled fiercely, as if sensing his lack. Yet the family's joy bloomed unchecked. Papa tilled a new plot, yams sprouting green promises. Kelechi boasted of school fees paid, dreaming of becoming a doctor like those in Lagos, but cracks formed. One market day, Chidi trailed Mama Ngozi through the stalls of Abra, the air thick with the sizzle of suya and cries of "buy your pepper." Bustling market sounds, haggling voices, sizzling meat. She bartered for cloth, her laughter light, when a woman sidled up hunched, with a shawl hiding her face. "Ngozi," the woman hissed, voice like splintered wood. "The boy?" His light fades. The trade was fair, but shadows hunger too. Mama's face drained of color, her wrapper slipping. "Auntie, I find, please." "No here." Chidi ducked behind a pile of oranges, ears straining. "Auntie, I find?" The widow who lived on the village edge, whispering to cats and brewing potions. Mama knew her had sought her counsel in the dark months. That night, Chidi confronted her by the cooking fire, flames leaping like accusations, crackle of wood. Mama, the old woman in the market. What'd she mean about my light? Mama Ngozie's spoon stilled in the stew. Her eyes, usually warm, flickered with guilt. Chidi, my heart, sit. It's time, she told him then, voice trembling like a leaf in the wind. Months before the locusts, desperation had driven her to Ifian, the village's hidden Dibia, versed in the old ways. She spoke of a ritualist shadow for sustenance. But I couldn't. Not mine, not yours. I prayed to the ancestors for another way, yet whispers had spread. Ifian knew of Chidi's nightly wanderings, had guided the old man or brother, Opar to the baobab. It was meant for me, but you chose. Betrayal twisted in Chidi's gut, sharp as a panga. You knew? All this time, while I fade? Tears streamed down Mama's face. I thought it a dream, a juju tale. But the food came, and guilt ate me. Forgive me, Nkem. Family is all, but at what cost? Chidi fled into the night, the compound's lanterns blurring through his tears. The baobab called, its branches a cradle. Nika waited, her presence a balm. The twist of fates, Chidi, she murmured. Opar was no thief. He was your uncle lost to the family in shame, after a debt drove him to wander. Your shadow mended his own, broken by years. But now, it rebels. It seeks return, or it will consume you both. As she spoke, the ground trembled faintly from the roots. A shape emerged, Chidi's shadow, grown wild, tendrils snaking like vines. It lunged, wrapping around his legs, cold as the grave. Visions flooded him, his family's faces twisting in accusation, the village turning away, himself dissolving into mist. No, he cried, struggling. Nika chanted, her voice rising in ancient cadence. Beads glowing faintly dot in the chaos, truth unveiled. Opar appeared, not as the withered man, but vigorous. Shadow restored Chidi's woven into his. Nephew, he gasped, eyes wet. I took it to heal, not harm. My death shadowed our bloodline. Your gift broke the curse. But greed made me keep it. The shadow thrashed, a storm of darkness. Chidi, with Nika's hand in his, faced it. Return, he commanded, voice steady as Papa's hoe. To me, whole love, not force, pulled it back, tendrils retracting, merging with a sigh like releasing breath. Dawn painted the sky as Opara knelt. Forgive an old fool. The bounty was mine to give, earned in far markets. No trade needed. He embraced Chidi. The family circle closing as Mom arrived, drawn by the whispers. Followed by Papa and the children. In the village square that week, under the Iroko. A feast unfolded, not of bought grace, but shared joy. Drums beat, vibrant, unifying rhythm, and stories flowed. Chidi's shadow returned, faint at first, then strong, trailing him like a faithful brother, and, in the quiet after, as stars pricked the velvet sky, Chidi learned the deepest lesson. True wealth lies not in the shadows we cast, but in the light we share without losing ourselves. For in giving all, we risk the dark, but in wise love, even shadows find their way home, and that's how this story ends. If you loved it, please like, comment, and subscribe to Nigerian Storytelling Time. More powerful stories are coming soon.